Yes.
There are few men in our lives who can change the world around them and impact society. One such man was McCreary, an officer for the Plano Police Department. He was also a loving father and husband to me and my brother Michael until his untimely death due to lung cancer. For this speech, I use the following resources to further my information on this wonderful man: parks.planotech.org, successdegree.com, dallasmorningnews.com, medicinenet.com, a letter from Kristen Dean, Assistant Director of North Texas Gender Center, an interview with Deborah McCreary Hastings, his wife, and from Dallas Morning News. I am here to pay tribute to Sergeant Michael McCreary because of his superior accomplishments, overcoming obstacles, and his benefit to society. Being a police officer meant more to my father than just a job. He really cared about it, and he spent a lot of time dedicated to working for the city of Plano. Due to his achievements in stopping crime, Sergeant McCreary was considered by his peers to be excellent at his job. He received an award for saving lives in the spring of 1995. The certificate that he received is described as an expression of the chief's respect and commendation, and is issued in regard for this member's devotion to duty, reflecting the Plano Police Department's ideals and traditions of service and protection, from an interview with his wife, Debbie Hastings. At the time of his death, he had received over 58 commendations. One of his more noteworthy efforts resulted in the apprehension of a longtime residential burglar, which cleared approximately 40 cases for the department, from an interview with Debbie Hastings. He received a certificate for meritorious service on February 20th of 1988. This award is given to Americans who distinguish themselves in the service of their country. Officer Michael McCreary is awarded the Life-Saving Award for his quick action in responding to an attempted suicide call. Officers found the female in her garage, in her car, and the monoxide had already spread through the car. They had to quickly drag her to fresh air, which allowed her to live, from Dallas Morning News. Being a police officer is certainly a difficult job, but doing it while going through chemotherapy and radiation is nearly impossible. The last 3 years he was on the force, he was going through painful treatments of radiation and chemotherapy, but he never quit. Fatigue, nausea and vomiting, pain, hair loss, anemia, infection, and flu-like symptoms are just a few side effects from chemotherapy. It is typical from someone who is going through chemotherapy to take sick leave and stay home from work. But Officer Mike McCreary refused to do this. He continued working throughout his treatment and even took on volunteer hours. And during this time, he was promoted to sergeant. From my information from medicinenet.com. His wife, Deborah Hastings, told me in an interview, he would come home exhausted, but he never complained. He loved his job and didn't want to give it up. Not only did Sergeant McCreary work hard as a police officer, but he also gave back to the community in other ways. Besides just doing his duty as a police officer, he volunteered at a middle school and with kids' sports teams. Officer McCreary coached several youth baseball teams and volunteered for the City of Plano Sports and Recreation. After his death, he had a park named after him, which is still there today. And he also volunteered at Hendricks Middle School as an after-school police officer. His death was a tragedy at the school, and a tree was planted in his honor. He was also known to be very courteous and treat people with respect as a police officer. The Plano Police Department received a note from a doctor thanking Officer McCreary for his kindness for a patient. The patient was going through sexual reconstruction and was having a hard time. Kristen Dean said in the letter, "I would like to commend Officer McCreary for his handling of a difficult situation. He was courteous, professional, and conducted himself in a way that allowed as much dignity as is possible under the circumstances." This is a letter from Kristen Dean, Assistant Director at North Texas Gender. As you can see, Officer McCreary was a dedicated police officer that benefited society. He had superior accomplishment as a police officer, he overcame obstacles when he was going through chemotherapy, and he was a benefit to society as a citizen and as a police officer. My heroes are those who risk their lives every day to protect our world and make it a better place. Police, firefighters, and members of our armed forces, said by Sydney Sheldon. Thank you.